You know what's fucking crazy? What's fucking crazy is that we have countries, nations, people, and we don't even doubt and think about it. Like we just say, "Oh, I'm the citizen of the Philippines. Oh, I'm the citizen of Israel. I'm the citizen of the USA." And we say salute, and we go to war, and we fight, and we hate the other nations, and we just don't think for 1 second, "Oh, well, maybe they're just human beings like us." Well, today in this episode, we're going to talk about the new idol, the coldest of monsters, the thief of the nations. Chapter 11 on the new idol by Friedrich Nietzsche begins with a great quote. State is the name of the coldest of all cold monsters. Coldly it tells lies too, and this lie crawls of its mouth. I, the state, am the people. The state will never represent the people, no matter how hard it will try and how hard we believe in it. It cannot, will not, and have not represent any of the people. Let's understand why, let's understand how to prevent it, and let's dive in. Nietzsche makes a very interesting differentiation. Somewhere there are still people and herds, but not with us, my brother. Here there are states. In some places of the world, even nowadays, we're not the 1900s, but even today, there are still nations and herds. Well, you can think about Papua New Guinea and South and Africa as the nations and herds because they're very distant countries. But you don't have to go that far. You can even look at your own country. Your small neighborhood is probably its own small micronation, right? People are still living in communities and in shared thoughts and ideas without the nation providing the mega value or the mega thought. You might ask yourself why it's problematic. Well, of course, that's what we're going to talk about, but on one foot, it's basically stealing the ideas of the nation. When a country has the majority of the thought and the consensus as what a thought should be, where most people either don't agree with it or don't really go around with it, it basically forces the nation out of its own. And the language and the values that the nation has on its own is stolen and departed from it. Or, as Nietzsche puts it better, the language theft, every people speaks its own language of good and evil, but the state tells lies in all of the languages of good and evil. When you have a state, when you have something that is bigger than yourself, when you have something that monkeys cannot understand quite literally, it will always have its own universal language on what is good or wrong, what is faulty or right, because it must organize humanity as a whole in order to do so. If, let's say, we are growing together in a house, and in the house there are not rules of exactly what is right and wrong and what is and good and right, and we will not be able to arrange the house properly and will be, so to speak, chaos. Now, in a house, it's okay because usually it's okay because the people have chosen to be part of that house. In a state, it's a very different situation. You're not really choosing to become part of the state. It's more forced on you. And nonetheless, it's not something that you can really escape that easily. Not only because it's your comfort zone and blah, 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 also because it's a very difficult struggle to escape a state. Most nations don't really accept you. Most places won't just let you move there. There's many, many procedures you need to go through. It's not something that you just do like that. Not only because of ripping your roots out, like leaving a nation, but also because it's something much more difficult bureaucratic wise. Now, the other problem with the state is why we're calling it the new idol. We're calling it the new idol because it represents the new god. After, when Nietzsche wrote Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he begins the book, of course, with the famous quote, God is dead. Now, people think that, we talked about it in the first episode, I'll put the chapter here, but people think it's a great thing. Like, oh, God is dead, he's an atheistic, he's talking about the death of Christianity and the death of God because God doesn't matter anymore and blah, blah, blah. No, this is a crying. This is a very bad and sad thing that God is dead. Christianity doesn't represent anymore the values and the morality that it used to represent before, and now human beings have nothing to believe in. We became nihilists that was forced upon us. We're not allowed and we're not believing anymore in Christianity. Now everybody will be just monkeys and chaos and animals because there is no above law for all of us to understand and to believe in. Again, the difference between that and a state is that at least you kind of believe in, unlike a state where you're just born into it. And Nietzsche says in a great quote that the biggest problem with nations is not only it became the new idol, it's something that people have chosen upon themselves because they have to believe in something always, even though they killed the god. So they said, you grew weary in battle, and now your weariness still serves the new idol. You fought and were against against the Christianity and against religion. Now you believe in states. It's like all of those people that it makes me so much laughter that they say, "Oh, I'm an atheist. God is so stupid. How can you believe in a creature you cannot even see? Give me proof, then I'll believe." And then they go to the army and they serve for 5 years and they say that people are bad that are fighting their country. What's the difference, you dumb fuck? It's exactly the same. The country represents ideas exactly like Christianity. There's a governor exactly like there is a priest. There is a ruler exactly like there is a judge. There is a god exactly like there is a flag. Everything is the same. There's no difference. If you really are, so to speak, an atheist and a free spirit person and a free thought mind, you will not believe in either, or at least in both. The whole idea of the country is such a different mentality than the God is a very dangerous thing. And that's why the country lies so much. Because the country makes you believe it's not something that you need to believe in or think about. It's something that exists truthfully and there's no way to get rid of it because it is where it is and there's police and wars and things that are happening around it. Exactly like Christianity back in the days, right? Like in hundreds of years ago. There's no questions asked. There's no such thing as I don't believe in God. What do you mean you don't believe in God? What are you? I don't believe in the rule of Christianity. There's no such thing. Also today, people don't doubt, or at least don't doubt enough about the idea of wars and gods and idols and governments. Now, just as an interesting anecdote, it's not really related to the chapter, but it's a quote from the chapter, so for me it's great to put in there. They vomit their bile and call it a newspaper. Funny how relevant it is, even though it was written in the 1890s, how relevant it is still today and even much more. When you read the news, when you read the newspaper, when you see the newspaper, when you read on Twitter, when you read on Instagram, whatever it is that is supposed to speak news, it's nothing but shit and crap and fear. There's a great movie by Adam Curtis, which is the greatest documentarist, at least for me, the greatest documentarist of movies from I think it's from the BBC, that made a movie about the power of fear that governments control us with. It's a 3 hours movie. I'll leave a link over here. It's a great movie if you're interested in this kind of stuff. And he shows how fear and conducting fear upon the citizens make us much easier to control of and much easier to force by the values of the nation. I don't think I've ever read a newspaper who said something nice about the world or said something positive. It's always vomit and shit and crap and always either fear. As a personal take of mine, that's something that I feel, and for me, what this chapter means is when I was, I think, 16-year-old or 17-year-old, after I already decided I'm not going to the army, I still didn't get my undeployment, but I already decided I'm not going to the army. This is not for me. I'm not that kind of guy. I started to read Nietzsche, and I was going to by the train to this girl that I was dating back at the time. And I'm reading the book, and I'm reading this chapter about the new idol, and I really feel tears dropping down my cheeks. And I feel the tears not from a place of rage or not from the place of sadness, but from the place of excitement. That finally, not only someone understands my ideas and conducting it in a way of high intellectual writing, it's also a person that is much, much, much more valued than the 17-year-old that I was. Because everywhere I went, people just call me confused, and you will grow and you will understand, and blah, 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 and you will regret, and blah, blah, blah. Finally, a person that is not only well appreciated, but there is no doubt about his intelligence and level of high spirituality and high intellectual level, says it articulately, things that I cannot even say in words. So for me, that was very interesting to read. And of course, it developed my thought about the idea of the nations being the coldest monster much further because of him writing it so poetically and so articulately. If what I'm saying over here all of a sudden gives you a light bulb or like, yeah, that makes sense or blah, 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 and you're thinking, So what? What does it matter? Who cares about it? What can we do about it? So sure, I won't go to the army. So sure, I won't serve the nation. Blah blah blah. What does it matter? I think it matters because we as human beings sometimes feel very depressed or very confused or very angry at the world, and we don't really know why. And all of a sudden, when you see things that are not clear enough or not to be clear as you want it to be, and you could, so to speak, see the matrix, you all of a sudden have a much more comfortable way of living. Like we talked in the last episode, when you live your own virtues. So it's kind of the same here. When you understand that the nations is not something that you want to serve and something that is just existing around you and is outside of you, it's much easier to conduct with and to react with. Now, it's always important to say that practical wise, for me at least, there is no better solution. I was an anarchist, or at least I thought I was an anarchist. I'm not anymore. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's necessary either. For, as Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government, but there's nothing better. It is shit, but I don't see anything better right now, or at least in my mind. Neither do I care to create a better idea because I don't give a shit that much about humanity. But I think for your own thought, the second you understand that the nation is not something that you really must serve because it was forced on you, it will be much easier to conduct with and to live with and to go by with. I think to close this chapter, I give you a challenge and a thought, as always. The challenge is look at yourself, look at the values that you have, look at the things that you're thinking about, and look at the actions that you're conducting business, country related wise. Are you serving your nation, or at least not serving your nation, simply because it is a state and it's the coldest of all monsters, or because it was told you that you need to serve it? If it's either, then you're both wrong. If you're not doing it because fuck the nation, who gives a fuck, blah 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 blah, then you're wrong because then you're just an angry teenager who's just like smoking cigarettes to show his rebellion. And if you are serving the nation because it's the nation and it's important to protect your country, blah blah blah, then that's also wrong because then you're just a sheep to the herd. Have your own values and your own thoughts, not because Nietzsche wrote it in a book. Have your own values and your own thoughts because you're disapproving something without you're questioning something no matter what it is. The holiest of grails, the nation, your family, whatever it is. Always question it because maybe it's not true for you. I don't agree with the values of Israel, not because they're fighting Palestinians or because they're colonialists or whatever. I just don't like the country. I don't think it's a right place to live by. I think the taxes there are huge. I think the price of living is absolutely insane. I think the people there are very violent, and I don't love seeing them even here. I don't give a shit about the Philippines either. I don't like the country as the government. I don't give a fuck. But I like the people and I like the food and I like the culture, so I stay here and I live here for 2 years. It's not about the country, it's about the place you live in as the place you're conducting your own life. Try to think of a better form if you hate the countries. If you find a better form, please write down in the comments below. It'll be very interesting. Of course, you can recommend the book, you can recommend the video, whatever it is. I still haven't found anything more interesting. Nothing that can change the idea of nationality, probably because we're still not developed enough in order to change the form of government. I'll probably make a video about it, but I truly believe that everything comes from a reason. The reason that Christianity died in the 19th history probably has a relation to history about it, and it was, if you read retroactive, it probably has been foreseen 200 years ago. Everything comes in its own time, as Marx said, and the only reason that communism doesn't exist yet is because we're not still fully conducted capitalism to its fullest. Just a thought to put out there. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really hope you enjoy it. As I said in the previous video, if you have anything that you want me to talk about that you don't think I'm talking about enough, if you want me to expand one of my ideas, if you want me to talk about different philosopher, whatever it is, if you want to change the format of the videos, whatever I can do to make this channel grow and make the 16-year-old kid watch the video as well and decide not to take his life from himself like I tried or at least thought about doing, that will be great. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a subscribe and a comment.